This is my YouTube channel. I make the videos. I do the edits. You want people to get, happy and laugh, right? Well, that takes time. And I'm busting my ass on this goddamn channel trying to do good by people. Just because you didn't get to be a YouTuber. I am a fucking YouTuber. I'm just stuck thinking up shit ideas because someone won't get out their fat fucking ass and share my videos. I'm not subscribed. Stay in character. Stay in character. I haven't even had the bell notification hit. Stay in fucking character. Fuck you! What'd you just say to me? Okay, so it's been revealed, at least via Twitter, that Insomniac is working on Spider-Man 3, which I'm sure we probably all knew that by now. Spider-Man 2. It was definitely one of the Spider-Man games of all time. At the time I'm recording this, Spider-Man Brand New Day just released. Spider-Man Mania is at an all-time high. And I kind of just want to, make a video about my thoughts about what I believe Spider-Man 3 should head towards, what it should try and accomplish. Of course, I'm just a YouTuber on a dead channel that nobody's probably watching. People probably are because it's Spider-Man, Spider-Man time right now. And Insomniac obviously already has an outline of what they're going to do. Not saying that it can't be anything they can't implement during development, or that they're hard-headed and just are completely blocking out player criticism or anything like that. I don't exactly think anything of what I'm going to say is probably going to reach any of them, but if it does, if it just so happens to reach that one intern or developer at Insomniac who is constantly online looking at all the critiques from the first 3 Spider-Man games they've had, and it's like, this might be a good idea. God damn it, I gotta at least take a chance, okay? So one of the main things that needs to be talked about in terms of Spider-Man 3 has to be the story. Hey, so post-editing just Broderick here, and I just want to come out and say that what I'm about to say is completely misinformed. Yeah, just want to make you guys aware that Dan Slott was not the only writer for Spider-Man 1. As a matter of fact, he was just a consultant. I had thoughts that he was the lead writer for that game, but he was only asked for small story beats and advice, which I still believe were pretty important in the grand scheme of things for that game. But no, he was not the only lead writer for Spider-Man 1. If you guys aren't aware, Spider-Man 1 story was written primarily, I believe primarily, by Dan Slott, who headed the Amazing Spider-Man main line of comics for, I think, a decade or close to a decade. I think he was writing from Brand New Day, the comic run, to I think 2018 or something like that. I can't exactly remember. During his tenure of writing the comic, obviously he's gotten to understand Peter Parker, how his villains work, compelling storylines, and everything of that nature. And you can clearly see that in the first Spider-Man game. He's not writing that Peter Parker like his Peter Parker from his line of comics. He's writing it as from a status quo. How do we know Spider-Man? What are his inner struggles? How does his work-life balance work? His relationships with everybody he knows, and then ultimately his connection to the villain of the week or the villain of the issue, or whatever the hell. That's primarily how he wrote that story, and clearly that formula works. However, when it came to Miles Morales and Spider-Man 2 specifically, the stories seem to start off pretty high, have a weak middle point, and then immediately flop to the ground. Not so much Miles Morales. I actually do enjoy Miles Morales' story, even though Miles Morales is like a condensed version of the first game. But Spider-Man 2 story? I don't know, man. I think I think ultimately Insomniac probably bit on more than they could chew in terms of Spider-Man 2's story. Now, things I love about Spider-Man 2's story. I did enjoy Kraven, and I know this is controversial, but I do think he probably was one of the most deadliest villains in this universe so far. For God's sake, he killed off damn near most of the Sinister Six. However, everything else is, in terms of the story, the Venom plot, Miles, who's barely a character, the what's the right word of it? I know people say nerfing of Peter Parker, but I mean, I don't really know if there's anything else to really say. But the nerfing of Peter as a character, it kind of feels like he regressed. I recall watching a video in defense of Spider-Man 2's story, which definitely was a lot of coping. But if you look at it from that point of view, where it was saying that, you know, Peter's under a lot of emotional duress, he's getting over the death of Aunt May, he is trying to afford his home, his relationship with MJ is struggling again, he's getting older, he's seeing Miles as this like better successor Spider-Man versus how he does Spider-Man. And if you look at it from that lens, then okay, the story, him acting the way he is and him using the spider arms and stuff like that, which by the way, the spider arms never got explained as to why he had them in the main story. They were more for like gameplay reasons. But having a story basis on a lot of the things that is going on, or, you know, being worked around, if you look at it from that lens, then the story can be comprehended in a better light. However, it's never implied from Insomniac directly that Peter is going through this like rough patch in him being Spider-Man. It's more like the city's bigger. Everything you heard about Spider-Man 2's promo, the city's bigger. There are new villains hunting the Spider-Man. What's going on? And, you know, that's kind of like a takeaway from what I got from the promo of the first game, was that this is an experienced Spider-Man. A lot of the things they were saying as the first one was coming out, oh, this Spider-Man has been doing Spider-Maning for 8 years. He's not a teenager that we don't know about. He's got some hair on his chest. You know what I mean? They were implementing a world built around this character. And for them to do that for the first game, but not the second one, and kind of just leave us hanging on the narrative beats, not really a fan. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that whoever they had writing this story, we should probably get either Dan Slott again or another established comic writer for Spider-Man in the boardroom or something, because just the way the story was handled in the first one, or not the first one, excuse me, the way the story was handled in this second game, yeah, not the greatest Spider-Man story up until a certain point. Everything from the beginning to directly after he takes off the symbiote is very lackluster. What I really want to talk about is the gameplay elements that they probably could still implement into the game. So Spider-Man 2's web swinging is not bad. What I think Insomniac could implement, honestly, which is probably going to be a tough task, it would probably involve them having to restart their basis, or the base of web swinging, all the way from the ground up, which I don't think that they're going to do. But there has to be some way to at least get it close to the physics web swinging we had in Spider-Man 2 OG. There has got to be a way to get it to that. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but in Spider-Man 2, there is still the little invisible barrier, or like there's like a magnetic field, even if you turn swing assist to 0. And I know this is nitpicking. I know this is nitpicking, guys, but there is some type of field or some type of zone where if Spider-Man gets too close to the ground, no matter if it's on 0 swing assist, he will stop cold turkey. And I have gameplay of this. He will stop right on the head wherever you were about to swing over if he gets too close to the ground. And if you look back at the older games, if you look back at Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3, Web of Shadows, I'm not going to go too crazy and say the TASM games did this, because I don't remember anything about those games. But Spider-Man will run his legs across the ground. He will run his feet across the ground to keep his momentum going to make sure he's staying on that web line. Spider-Man 2 by Insomniac does not have that. So if there is a way to get rid of this barrier, I don't know what this is. It kills momentum in the game. And I know what a lot of you guys are saying, oh, it's just a skill issue, get good or whatever. But the fact of the matter is, there are ways around it to make you still feel like Spider-Man without completely halting your web swinging. But other than that, with the web swinging for the most part is phenomenal on PS5 and everything like that. I have Spider-Man 1 and 2 on PC, so I'm getting a little used to the mods and what they can do on here. And, you know, the modders, they do fantastic work. I don't believe Insomniac is going to do anything that can get close to the mods. The modders just have too much time on their hands. They're trying to replicate stuff from individual pieces of media of Spider-Man web swinging versus what Insomniac is trying to accomplish, which is, we just want you to look cool and feel like Spider-Man on a base PlayStation. So the whole thing about getting close to the mods, just throw that shit out the window. It's not going to happen. In terms of combat, which was a huge point of arguments that I've been seeing on which I know it's probably bad to say, but on Twitter, the combat could definitely use some work. And I even realized this as I was playing Spider-Man 2 that Miles and Peter, outside of using your specific abilities, they play damn near identical. Not even damn near, they do play identical. There is no contrast between the two. Now, I remember watching the gameplay reveal where you're doing the lizard mission, and you see Peter in the symbiote get really rough with this one guy against the wall. He starts doing a little rapid kick move, and I'm thinking, oh shit, that might be like a move. Either what I really thought was, oh, that must be exclusive to symbiote Peter, because that's like a really aggressive thing to do. Not only was it not only exclusive to Peter, but it was also given to Miles. And not only that, but that was like the only real special combat event that was in the second game. Granted, they gave you the ability to like sling your enemies to the left or to the right and like slam them to the ground. And then also you could like bounce them off the ground when you're doing air combat. But for the most part, the gameplay is just a slight improvement from the first one, and also a bit of a downgrade. When I say downgrade, it's because they got rid of the gadget wheel. Now look, the gadget wheel in Spider-Man 1, I know people love that. However, there was no easy way to select a gadget on the fly. Now I know you're saying, oh, you could like double click, I want to say it was like L1 or something, and you could go back and forth between your last two gadgets. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's cool. However, I think a better implementation of that could be bring the gadgets back in like a skill tree type thing, and then still have the 4-button layout from Spider-Man 2 into the next one. That way we can change which gadgets we want, and the gadgets are still in the game, which they should have been in here to begin with, or at least in the second game to begin with. Bring the gadgets back, man. Please. Please. Peter, oh man, he very much lacks in everything compared to Miles in terms of gameplay. Because why swap and use the pathetic spider arms when I can literally shoot electricity from the base of my fingertips and light up an entire area of enemies? So I think what they need to implement, which a lot of people have been saying as well, is make Peter like the gadget Spider-Man, man. There's no issue with him primarily using gadgets. Me personally, I would kind of prefer if they use web constructs again. And now I know that kind of goes against the whole, you know, realism aspect of these games that are trying to establish. But let Peter rip some concrete out the ground or something with a web and sling it at somebody. You know, picking up the trash cans and the manhole covers and throwing it at people. That's a step in the right direction, don't get me wrong. But if we could implement the web constructs into like combos instead of just us mashing the square button over and over again, I think we'd be heading in the right direction. Just going off that too, how about we not just have the same button for fighting enemies? How about we, you know, change it up? And I understand they try to change it up with the abilities, but that's not enough, guys. That is not enough. We need to have like a combo, obviously, but a combination of buttons that you know brings out a special move. It'll show skill in the game. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, what if the ground pound is no longer just square and X when you're in the sky? What if it's like square, X, circle, and then square and X at the same time? You know what I mean? Like you need to work to look like Spider-Man instead of just hitting square all the time. I don't know what they're gonna do. I'm assuming they're gonna put Silk in the game as well because she got teased at the end. But I'm really hoping that they change the way that Miles and Peter feels, as well as Silk if she is implemented into the game as a playable character. Because I'm thinking of when you play the Arkham games, which is the only close relative to the Spider-Man games. When you play those games and you play Arkham Knight specifically, and you pick a different character and you go into the I wouldn't say the Predator maps. When you're doing the combat maps, those characters all feel vastly different, and they're damn near all regular people. You know what I mean? Like, you playing as Batman, he's obviously a bit heavier. His attacks are, he roughs him up a little bit, but versus when you play as Red Hood and he's flying across the map and he's also killing people and it's making the combat a lot faster. And then when you play either Catwoman or Batgirl and they're absolutely flying over the map, but he can't take hit. It's something that I hope Insomniac really took to heart when it comes to this third game, because when you go back and you look at Spider-Man 1 and you look at Miles Morales, it's like, okay, yeah, these two clearly feel like two different characters, at least for a little bit, because Miles has, the Venom Blast and everything like that. But then when you go to Spider-Man 2, it's like these two feel exactly the same, except for the abilities. They should feel different in the way you control them, in the way you move, and in just everything all together. It shouldn't be like, okay, I'm hopping on Spider-Man, who do I feel like playing as because they all feel the same. It shouldn't feel like that. The villains. His entire rogue gallery is damn near gone. All of them. They're all of them are damn near gone. All he really has left are retirees like Tombstone and Mysterio. They're gone. They're not coming back. The people in prison that we know of, Kingpin and Sandman, God knows where the hell Taskmaster is, or Hammerhead. So all we really have left is the people who got teased at the end of Spider-Man 2, Doc Ock and Green Goblin. And I don't know how they're going to be able to split the screen time with those two characters specifically, because they're both mainstay Spider-Man villains outside of Venom that we already just had in the last game. Me personally, I could have done without Otto for a second time. I don't know if they're bringing Otto in again because they want to like redo what they did in the first game, because Otto didn't have a lot of screen time until like the third act. But what I really want to get across is I really hope they build the villain fights off of the movie format. And when I say the movie format is, I mean the main hero interacts with the villain for the first time. He's stunned by the villain for the first time. He either spars with the villain or the villain absolutely dominates him. Think of Spider-Man 1, for example. He interacts with the Green Goblin at the parade for the first time. They spar for a little bit, Green Goblin gets away. Second time they interact, I don't think specifically the second time, but the second time they fight is in a burning building. They're kind of like, okay, yeah, this is clearly a challenge for me, going blow to blows with each other. And then for the third and final time is the big finale, where, okay, it's either life or death. One of us is getting out of here, one of us isn't. I really want them to do that type of a basis for the Green Goblin and or Doc Ock. If they're both gonna be sharing screen time in this next game, I want that for both of these characters because they both deserve it. I would say more on the Green Goblin side because there's more variations of the Goblin that you can do. So for the first interaction, you could do a smart Green Goblin. You know, like, yeah, he's juiced up. He's juiced up on the Goblin serum, on the Goblin juice, if you will. He's juiced up. He's beating your ass a little bit. Okay. All right, time to regroup. You come back, you fight him again. This time, it's more of a stalemate. Green Goblin's like, holy shit, okay, Spider-Man's really not fucking around. I need to go back and re-up. The third time, and I know some people aren't really a fan of this type of the Green Goblin, but the third time, let him overdose on the Goblin juice and become the monster Ultimate Goblin. Me personally, that's the Goblin I grew up with reading the Ultimate comics. I know most people don't like that, and I like both Goblins, don't get me wrong. But I think we can have the best of both worlds if Insomniac does it the way I just described it. I don't want it to just be we're fighting, some ragtag group of Oscorp employees throughout the game who teamed up with Otto, and now Otto is like the Mr. Negative type enemy, where we fight him twice during the main campaign, and then Osborn swoops in at the end. It was actually me, the Green Goblin. Now you come fight me in your final Goblin suit or the anti-Goblin suit or whatever. I really hope it is not like that, and if it is like that, I'm going to be very disappointed in Insomniac. I'm not going to lie to you. Because not only have you done that twice, not even twice, you've done that 3 times. Holy shit. You did the same thing with the Tinkerer. I just think there's better ways to establish a good villain than putting them on the box or implementing them in your marketing, and then we only fight them at the end of the entire game. And our entire 20 to 30 hour journey about this guy who's being advertised as the main guy being wrapped up in a 20-minute boss fight at the very end of the game. That's not going to do nobody any justice. Absolutely nobody any justice. I want to go back and retouch up on the story beats. What I would like to see implemented, truthfully, what I would like to see implemented is, at the end of Spider-Man 2, it's very much established that Peter is taking a break, a bit of a sabbatical, if you will, and Miles is going to be the main Spider-Man in all of New York City until the foreseeable future, which would be the 3rd game. I don't know how much time is going to pass in this game, but if it is a little bit of time, right, I think what they should do, which might be controversial because a lot of people don't like Miles Morales to begin with in these games, but they should do a Last of Us 2 character switch. And what I mean by that is we have 20 hours as one Spider-Man, 20 hours as another Spider-Man, and then towards the end, they come together. Maybe it doesn't have to be 20 hours. Maybe do 12 hours as each Spider-Man. 12 hours as each Spider-Man. Yeah, that's a fair assumption because Last of Us 2 was long as fuck. But okay, let's do 12 hours as each Spider-Man. Which people would still complain, but whatever. 12 hours as Miles. Okay, y'all, Miles Morales. Here I am. I'm protecting the city. Holy shit, Doc Ock is back. I never fought this guy before. He's beating my fucking ass. Okay, enough of this. Peter, yo, this dude's fucking me up. Okay, Peter, I gotta come out of retirement. I gotta keep with MJ. MJ's, she got promoted at the Bugle, or she's doing her podcast, whatever the fuck. I'm also teaching at Horizon Labs, which is in the game, by the way. We haven't forgotten about you, Horizon Labs. Okay, at least I haven't forgotten about you. Anyway, okay, I'm back. I'm a little rusty. I take down Otto. Otto, who's doing this to you? It was Norman, Peter. Norman got to me. Okay, now I'm fighting the Green Goblin. Oh man, this guy's pretty tough. Okay, Miles is like, all right, man, let me go ahead on him. Miles, no, don't do that. Miles is taking out of commission. Boom. He fucking disintegrates Miles Morales. Miles should not be fighting Peter's main villains to begin with. He honestly had nothing to do with Venom in the 2nd game. But you know what? Whatever. I get into something. You had 2 Spider-Man, you're going to use them. Whatever. Miles needs to get obliterated by either Otto or Norman, and they need to take him out of commission. So it's just Peter fighting his main villain. His main villain. Okay, Miles is out of the story from now on. Okay, we're Peter again. All right, let's level up, bro. Let me go fight this guy. I beat his ass. That's the end of the trilogy. I would hope the format is something like that. If it's not like that, I want to have faith in Insomniac. However, the 2nd game and Miles Morales did leave a sour taste in a lot of the community's mouth. If you ask some people in the community, Insomniac can't do any wrong. It's okay to admit when your developers aren't providing the service you expect from them, especially when they start off on such a high. It's okay to critique. Okay, there's no issue with critiquing. Now, if you're constantly hating and not providing any sort of criticism, you're not doing anybody any justice. If you're praising too much and not offer criticism, you're not helping anybody. You're not helping anybody at all, because then how do we improve? You see what I'm saying? But for the most part, that's just all I had to say about Spider-Man 3. I am a Spider-Man fanatic. Like I said, the Spider-Mania is at an all-time high. It's only going to get higher because Spider-Verse God forbid it gets pushed back again. Spider-Verse is supposed to be releasing next year. And then also there's rumors of the Venom game coming out too. I don't know if Insomniac's even still doing that or not. If that comes out, even better. And then around 2028, 2029, when the PS6 comes out and we can no longer use disc or whatever, Spider-Man 3 is going to be around the corner. I'm going to be pumped. I'm still going to play it regardless. But I will be very critical. And if its YouTube channel is still here by then, I'm going to be very critical and vocal about my disappointments in that game when that comes out. But yeah, I just wanted to hop on here. I know I haven't made a video in a long time, but I love Spider-Man. I love this character. Everyone's interpretation and what they mean or what this character means to them is going to be different. But I do expect a lot. I want a good story, just like everybody else. This character means a lot to me. I want this game to be like the definitive game, the way the Batman games were for me when I was growing up as well. My definitive Spider-Man game, Web of Shadows. I know that's crazy. I know that game's voice actor sucks. I know the webs don't attach to buildings. They look like they attach to buildings, but they don't. But that is my definitive Spider-Man game, and I just want... Now, I'm pretty much aging myself, but Unc wants the new gen to have the same childhood experience that I had when I was growing up. So I'm sorry if I'm very passionate and what I'm saying doesn't make sense. It's also all off the dome, but that's what I wanted to say. So if you guys agree or disagree, let me know in the comment section below. But also if you disagree, you might hurt my feelings, so don't say anything. See you.